This is Ivo Saganic from Martinštica, who has written an interesting book on social innovation and transformation of rural life in Vidovici settlement. And we have 22nd of June 2018 today, in just few days after the Croatians' second place on the World Championship in football. This is a SIMRA project, and we would like to have an interview to talk with Ivo Saganic about the case of Vidovici and how the case has been developed and what are the key points that he can put on the way of the Vidovici case. So, Ivo, how did this project Vidovici started? What was the idea behind? I would be very much interested to know what is the main objective of the study, how it helped to contribute to the local population well-being, and what is important on this activity.
Okay, let's go to start with the first question that you said about why I started with this project. This project take me, actually I wanted to know what happened before, who was behind my grandfather, and actually that Vidovici is not from today, the last 100 years, it was from many years ago. So I started to search, I started church book in the archive, and many others. As I was going deeply inside, so much interesting things I find it, that I was very impressed about the life they get, and I found out that must be written a book about this thing, because if not, they will go on forgetting. But generally, all the people who was in this village needed to have own life on written, as much as it is possible, to find out all the issue of the life. And I was trying, going from house to house, and oral history to it, and looking the church books. On the end, I found out that it's ready, that it can be published, but that's all together took me more than 10 years. Started with the fathers and find out what it is. Looking at the past, you can value today, because you can value much more the present situation if you know what it was in the past. Who read this book can know much more that in the past in Vidovici was just a life to survive. Looking situation now, where the more of 50% of the, about 80% of the houses in Vidovici is repaired. The people are coming back. 12 houses are taking the guests in the house. That means the life in Vidovici is now not anymore for survive. Life is just to have a higher standard, and that is the value of today. That means the Vidovici is still alive and will be a long, long time alive.
So the idea for you was to look for the history of your family. And then later you just realized that this is an interesting example of life on island Cres, or in Croatia, or in Mediterranean. How much do you think is important?
It's very important, because first of all you have to know this is an island. Live on the island, that is on the mountain. If you come today to Vidovici, you can see only stones. That means you need something to produce, to have for eating, to living there. That is a village which used to be maximum 150 people. There was each family used to have 7, 8 to 10 children. That means they needed a food. If you come out, and most of the people went out, the first question it was how they lived on this here. So as I told you before, all the life it was there just to survive. Village Vidovici is about 500 years old. By my search, thanks of my search, now we know the history from the first family who was there. The family Vidovici was living 1540, 1550s, they was living in Vidovici. What for the first people come up, that is taking care about the property of the rich people, and so on. Later on start to be another family, and much more. So the 3 surnames family used to be on Vidovici in the last 200 years, and that is Kučić, Saganic, and Štefanić. I have roots on all the 3. My mother was Kučić born, my father was Saganic born, my grandmother was Štefanić. That means we are implemented all inside. Anybody who is on Vidovici living there, they are cousins or some relatives one each other. My mother and my father were second cousins. I never knew that before. That means if you enter inside, if you want to search for one family, you reach on the others. But for me, it was much more important to find out the deaths, the living, the style of life, and I was searching inside deeply, so I write a book of 95 families. On the end, I never write just for my family, father or the mother, the both were Vidovici. I write a story of 95 family. In the book is 462 life stories. So going in the cemetery and finding out the people are not dead anymore. They are still alive and they will be in the future in their life thanks to this book. But as your question, it was regarding the life here or any other place. I would say by the Middle Age, by the 17th century, 16th century, living on this part of the world was very hard. Almost everywhere it was the same. Just let you know that each third child died here. In my search, in 150 years, in Vidovici is born 522 kids, but 183 died. That means, and I was searching much more in the value of Croatia or this Mediterranean. That is average much more mortality of all other parts of the Europe. This Mediterranean, they suffer much, but they survive. Let's say in Vidovici, and the mortality of the as a reason it was scarcity of food. Each disease was around, and we don't have water. There was not water. There was drinking the same spots where the animals are drinking. They was using just rainwater, and the first they do it a house. And later on, maybe after 10 or 20 years, they do it a rainwater system. But still later on, even now, some houses are without the system. Okay. Because the motivation it was, I need to have a roof under my house, also for my family, and water we have in the same spots where there are living animals. Now the standards and the style of life are thinking on different way. I have a guest up, all the guests are using rainwater, and I tell them, I'm drinking this water and it's healthy, but if you want, you buy it. I hope that in the future we shall have a rainwater, because this island is a unique island with a lake in the middle of the island, which is 70 meters deep. Brana Lake. And then everywhere they are using, except our village, because it was too small, not many people was living that, but now, last years, we have a lot of houses in Perth. Even in the village, we still have only one residence who was from before up to these days. He arrived and living and always drinking rainwater from this well.